should be one down through that. Gotcha. There was. Oh, that's a good rainbow. And you have come up to the top dropper and nailed the worm. Oh. Gotcha. My name's Tom Jarman, and in this series of videos, I'm going to be tying some flies, then jumping straight onto the water and showing you where and how to fish them. That is insane. Hey everyone, back on the river, and last night we had a big storm, a heap of rain, the river's high and it's dirty, and these are the perfect conditions to go and fish a squirmy worm. So I'm going to tie one for you, then jump on the water and show you how I like to fish it. So for my squirmy worm, I like to tie it on a size 14 jig hook there. I'm just using a Hanak 400 today. The bead I've got on, that's a gold bead there, tungsten slotted, a 3.3 millimeter bead here. I like 3 mil to 3.5. You want to up the bead size slightly on this because the material is quite thick and it does slow the sink rate. Bead color wise, they all work. They're all pretty good. Gold's great, silver's great, nickel's great if you like a bit of contrast. And in really dirty water, I do like the painted fluoro orange bead as well. So we're just gonna lay down some thread here before we tie in squirmy worm material. You want to make sure your thread isn't actually too thick because too thin, because it can actually cut through the squirmy worm material because it is quite soft. Now the material I'm using is just the original Fulling Mill red. I do like the red. It's probably my favorite color. It's kind of like a pinky red, but the fluoro pink is good as well in the really dirty water. So now, when we're tying this in, I want to just make sure I've laid down some thread wraps. I'm going to give myself enough room here because we are going to wind that forward to tie the body in. I'm just going to tie one kind of loose wrap, and I let the material roll around to the far side like so. And I'll add another wrap there, and then bring the thread forwards. Now the reason why I've tied it in loosely there and it's actually off to the side is because as I wind this, you'll see that this material will actually rotate and pop up onto the top of the hook, and it'll look like it's tied in straight. So we are just winding this material forward, and as you see, that is rotated over the top to give me a nice straight worm tail. So way onto the front, now we're just going to put some thread, put a couple of turns of thread here to lock that in. Pull that there. Great, and now we'll trim this. Now, to finish the fly, and that I should point out, that is it. Like, it is very, very simple. You don't need to do any more to it. You can put a bit of dubbing behind the bead if you like, but for me, the main, the good part about the fly is the movement and the bulk of this. So I don't feel like putting a hot spot or putting a collar in there does anything for me. I'm just going to trim it to about that sort of length there. I can always shorten that on the river if the fish aren't eating it super well. Now we'll just tie this down like so. Now you have a couple of options here. You can just half hitch, whip finish, and the fly's done, or you can put a dab of super glue, but just be careful. You don't want to put the super glue on the material because it can kind of melt your squirmy worm material. So I'm just going to put a couple of turns like this, some half hitches, and as that rotates around, I'm very happy with that. And that is my squirmy worm done, ready to fish. I find that, the fish do chew into the body, the teeth of them, and the tail. So, by not adding glue there, I find that that's fine because, these flies aren't super durable. You will go through a few when you are catching a lot of fish, but that's absolutely fine. Now we can go give it a fish. So you can fish a squirmy worm a number of different ways. You can fish it under an indicator, you can fish it nymph under dry. I will fish it one of two ways typically. I'll fish it as a single nymph on its own, or I'll fish it as a double nymph team like I've got rigged up now. So I've got the squirmy worm on the top there, and I've just got another nymph on the bottom there. And you will, even though it is really dirty, you will catch them on the normal nymph, but I just find the worm really pulls fish to it because of its bulk. And the reason I'm double nymphing when I would normally single nymph on a stream like this is just because the water is so dirty. Hard for them to see it, hard for them to find it. I think just throwing 2 flies, gives me more chance of getting a fly in front of the fish and the fish being willing to move to it. So I do like having the 2 options in this water because they're not particularly spooky, they're not particularly cagey, and it works for me. So we'll have a fish up. Looks exactly like the type of water where one's going to be sitting just in the back, not too fast, not too pacey. A little bit of upwelling though. Going beautiful soft bit there. Beautiful seam here. Should be one down through that. Gotcha. There was. Oh, that's a good rainbow. And you have come up to the top dropper and nailed the worm. Oh. Come here, buddy. Strong fish. Hey, check out that. Oh, so good. That's why I like it on the top dropper, because when they want it and they'll move for it. Pop that out, get you straight back. So good. Always like to offer a little bit of animation, especially in some of this swirly stuff. Because of the bulk of the worm, it's very easy to go in and out of contact with it. So sometimes you want to just feel for it to make sure, you have a good connection to your flies. Gotcha. Very shallow fish. Up behind that tree. Oh, strong fish too. It's another candidate for the old squirmy. Oh, look at that. Oh, very cool. Right in this soft little seam here. That is a beautiful looking trout. Check out that guy. Pop that out. How good. You are stunning. Look at these markings. That is gorgeous. There we go. Fantastic. I haven't got great body position, but nice little slack inside bit here. There it is. Yeah. A little brown on the worm. There you go. Catching all the species. Again, that softer water here where this brown was is the water that I'm trying to seek out. Not, hey, you really monstered that. There we go, get you back, mate. This is that nice softer water where when the river comes up, gets dirty, they're happier sitting there than, in that washing machine there. I've got a stick on my other fly. We're good. This is a perfect run, a perfect piece for a fish on either the squirmy or a normal nymph because it's a nice even pace. Just going to stick on this inside seam as best I can. Visibility is not great because of the light coming through those trees, so I'm going to rely a little bit on feel at times. I wonder if I'm getting drawn into that main current a little bit too much. Fish is probably going to be more in this slacker stuff, you'd think. like that. I was just getting sucked into fishing into that fast stuff a little bit too much. I can't see, and I can't see the bottom anyway, but I haven't got very good lighting here. So I made my first few casts over there, didn't catch them, pulled the cast back to this, you know, inside slacker water, and we have a nice rainbow, and that's eating the hare and partridge, which is great. And that's why I do like, even though the worm's working better, I do like having the other nymph on there as well, because it will pick you up fish like this that maybe saw the worm go through first and thought, no, don't like that, and then eat the normal nymph. Gotcha. I just put on a slightly heavier point fly because there's all this upwelling here. I felt like the fly that I had on along with the worm was just getting held up in the water column a little bit too much, and I think that was like first or second cast. Oh, beautiful colored up rainbow. Hey, check out this guy. That is pretty spectacular. Check out that guy. Same fly, hare and partridge, but just a 3.5 instead of a 3. Get you back, buddy. What a cool fish. Gotcha. Oh, how cool is that? That fish was so shallow. Hey, nice brown on the worm. Oh, so good. Nice brown on the worm. That is so cool. That fish was right up here on the edge. That's beautiful. Wow, how cool was that? Catching some beautiful rainbows and some browns on the old Squirmy Worm there. Such a good fly when the water is up and when there is color in it, but also caught them on the normal nymph there as well. Caught a couple on that. That's why I do like to run the double nymph setup, having the Squirmy Worm as an option, but then also showing them something else, because you can do it. The water is quite colored. They're not as fussy, they're not too touchy, so works really well. You would have seen that I really targeted that slower, smoother water. I find when it is like this, they're not in that broken, fast, choppy, pockety stuff. Nice, consistent flow is where you're gonna find most of your fish. As always, I'll pop links in the description below to all the Orvis and SA gear that I was using in this video. I'll also pop links to the flies. You can purchase them from the Fly Life magazine shop, so check them out as well. I hope you enjoyed the video. Please like it if you did, subscribe to my channel if you haven't already, and I'll see you all next one.